Hey, gang, my name is Carl White, and I am your co-pilot today here in the headquarters at the Author Showcase podcast, which is sponsored by the Scotsman Guide. Everybody knows who they are. And what we do on this podcast is we interview the authors of the Scotsman's Guide, the most recent edition, the September edition, as we're doing this today. And the Scotsman's Guide does two different versions of their publication. One is for commercial and one is for residential. And today we're focusing on one of the authors that wrote in the September edition of the residential, Mr. Eric Simantel. And Eric is a branch manager and a mortgage originator for the Ryder Mortgage Group, which is a DBA, works on a DBA of C2 Financial in the beautiful city of Portland, Oregon. And Eric wrote an article on Put Cold Calls on Ice. The best leads come from established referral partners. So, Eric, man, it's great to see you here. And by the way, I read the article. Fantastic article. I highly recommend it. So good to see you, my man.
Thank you so much. And great to meet you, Carl.
Yeah. So, hey, just first question I always like to ask, what was the motivation? So writing an article for the Scotsman's Guide, which we highly recommend as our listeners, if you've got a good idea, those guys are amazing over there at I'm not going to say they're not going to write the article for you, of course, but they'll help you put that idea together. If you got an idea for a great article, boy, we'd love to interview you here on the Author Showcase also. But what motivated you to write an article about moving away from cold calling in the mortgage industry?
Well, so I have a couple articles already published with the Scotsman's Guide. And first, I'll say you're 100% correct. If you have a wacky idea or not so wacky idea to publish, reach out to them and put it in writing. And if you are not good with grammar, they have editors there. They'll help you put it all together. It's one of the easiest things to do, and the symbiotic relationship that comes out of it is fantastic.
Yeah, they even pull off making me look smart. And that can be a full-time job. So good. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
So what was the motivation, brother?
Yeah. The motivation behind it is, so before, in my previous life, before getting in the mortgage industry about 3.5 years ago, I was in sales training. And coming into the mortgage industry, I was fortunate enough to ride the wave that a lot of us got to ride back in 2020 and 2021 of the refinance boom. And as leads dried up for folks, as mortgages dried up for folks in the industry, like a lot has this year, it's like, what rocks are we turning over to find leads? And inside of sales, how do we keep ourselves sane and not hearing no every single day when it comes to cold calling? So where do we turn when we're tired of hearing no, or people just not getting back to us? So I would say that there's an easier way, but there's a way to get your funnel full in a more efficient manner than what it is of hopes and prayers and going out to unknown folks out there to try to get a mortgage in the funnel.
Yeah. And if I and correct me if I'm wrong, please, but in the article, I think where you're focusing in on, not doing cold calling would be perhaps like trigger leads, or maybe, and if I don't remember if you addressed this, maybe online leads, where it was like cold calling for the consumer direct was the thing. It's like, hey, you know what, there might be better ways to do this. And am I right on that? Was that kind of the emphasis?
No, correct. So think about it from a consumer standpoint. So, take your mortgage originator hat off and put your home buying hat on. So when you're out looking for a house, 99% of folks aren't going, gee, I need to talk to a mortgage originator first. They're onto the big websites of the world, the Zillows, the Redfins, and the other national sites, realtors.com, and falling in love with a house. And they fall in love with the house, and guess what? Folks are mortgage companies are paying for ads on side of those websites, and smartly so, right? Someone's interested in a house, let's get them qualified for a mortgage. So that potential consumer is clicking on the mortgage link without any affiliation or brand preference to that link. And once they enter that sales funnel there, because they're probably clicking on the top ad, the second ad, the third ad, and just putting their name in the funnel, right? So it becomes a contest of who can get back to them first, who can get back to them the quickest. And that works for a lot of mortgage originators, right? I'm not saying it's a bad tactic. That's not That's not the point of the article or what I'm saying at all, because it works for some folks. The yeah, but to that is that when you go that route, seemingly the only point of differentiation that you have versus other folks that potential home buyer is talking to is your price. So if you get them on the phone, you have a chance inside of 20 seconds to say who you are and why you should care about yourself. And all that consumer wants to hear on the other end is, what's your best rate and what's it going to cost me to get to that rate? Okay, thank you very much. Hang up. I'm going to go talk to the next guy. So when you have a chance to talk with realtors and get yourself out of that sales funnel, you can bring in what your true point of differentiations are. It may be price, it may not be, but you have a chance to sort of cement yourselves as a different type of solution in the eyes of the realtors.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. I think there's a lot of truth to that. I know in the article, and again, boy, this is a must read as you're listening to this. If you haven't read it, make sure you go check it out. That in the article, and I don't remember the exact number, but it was high. It was that it was that I think it was like 87% of the real estate agents said that their borrowers go to the recommended loan officer that they recommended. Staggering number, because I would say odds are that their loan officer wasn't the cheapest rate 87% of the time.
Right.
And so
right.
it just shows that the recommendation from the real estate agent, at least at some level, of course, right? Nobody's recommending gouging or anything, but at least at some level, that recommendation to the loan officer from the real estate agent seems like it kind of out trumps everything else.
That, I would agree with that. And to sort of to put a cement behind the data is that all that data came from a research study that Freddie Mac did a couple years ago. So that 87% isn't just someone, randomly pulling a number out. That's Freddie Mac looking at national data and talking to folks. So,
Yeah.
so let's go back into the consumer process, right? So
Okay.
if they're looking at a home, they say, yes, I want to go look at that home. Chances are realtors are buying leads as well too, right? So unless that person already has a realtor to call up, they're on that website saying, yes, Mr. and Mrs. Realtor, let's go see this house. So automatically, if they like that real estate agent or realtor, there's a transference of trust. So most consumers don't know a lot about the mortgage process. So the trust factor comes in from the realtor, and in comes there. I'm doing air quotes now because back in the olden days, we really did use Rolodexes, but now those don't exist. They're all in our phone. But no, that transference of trust from that real estate agent back to the mortgage broker. And so to your point, that transference of trust, now that mortgage originator can compete on something other than price. So, and again, you want to be price competitive, and some folks make a living just being the lowest price out there, but you don't always have to be. What other things as mortgage brokers and mortgage originators do we have that we can bring to the table?
Yeah, well, and that you're reading my mind here, because that was kind of the next question I had is, how can mortgage professionals differentiate themselves and increase their presence on agents' contact lists? Like, it seems like, according to the study, 87% or very high percentage of the borrowers went with the loan officer, the real estate agent recommended. What do I need to do to get the real estate agent to recommend me?
No, so 100%. So how do we get in front of that real estate agent, and that real estate agent doesn't even know or care about us yet, right?
Yes.
So, and first I'll take a step back and saying, at least me, when I first got into the business, I originally thought that once I develop a relationship with a real estate agent, that there's a complete symbiotic relationship. So if there's someone looking for an agent, I'll 100% give referrals that way. And then and wrongfully so, probably not wrongfully, but naively so, thought that I'd be getting 100% of the referrals back. So one of the studies inside of that study that Freddie Mac did is that real estate agent has multiple mortgage loan originators in their Rolodex.
Yeah.
that they'll either match up from a personality type or they'll match up from a product type. So a couple months ago, I was talking with a couple of real estate agents, differently took them out to lunch on a friendship level, and they were talking about the frustration that's in the marketplace right now. So they literally, this is I guess in an unofficial survey, because it's a survey of 3 different agents, but they literally were getting 20 cold calls a week, and that's on the low side, from mortgage loan originators asking to meet them for coffee, asking to schedule 20 minutes of their time. So after a while, actually probably not even after a while, it becomes just noise to that real estate agent, time after time after time of just calls, right? And they're picking up just like we would pick up. You see an unknown number, that might be money on the other end. I got to pick it up. And then imagine the frustration time after time after time after time that it's a mortgage loan originator cold calling. So how do we set ourselves up for success and get noticed inside of the current environment that we're in? So not that I have the panacea to it all, but what has been working for me and some folks on our team is sort of the soft approach. It's I've gone out in the state of Oregon and I found out the top 300 real estate agents and got their contact information. So I didn't buy that list. That's available online, and I imagine most states, like the state of Oregon, has a state specific real estate association that you can download those lists from.
Okay.
So in my contacts now, I have this list, and I have these 300 people that have no idea who I am. But it's like, oh my gosh, the top 300 out of 10,000 real estate agents in the state of Oregon. I better be careful of what I say or how I approach it, or I say, hey, choose me, talk to me, right? So what I've decided to do is 2 different approaches. So I use constant contact for my outbound marketing.
Okay.
I'm not saying that they're the best out there, and I'm saying the worst. That's just personally who I use. So
Okay.
so I input those 300 in, and I have a monthly drip campaign that I send them case studies to. So I send them a problem that a home buyer had inside of the mortgage world. And a lot of times it's non-QM focused. Sometimes, though, it's some expertise that I would have in the VA world or the FHA world that we overcame. And I present the problem, and I present how I was the solution for it. So, so I send that out as a case study. And then inside of that email, I also say that I know that I'm not a current referral partner. I know that as a top agent in the state that you have referral partners. So what I'm asking for the chance is to have a conversation with you to go over any case study that you might see, because I'm going to keep sending you case studies and go over what the problem was and what the solution was. But keep feeding your referral partners those conventional loans. Keep feeding those referral partners the loans that you're already doing. Let me have a shot at the hairy one, at the sticky one, because I know I can do it. And slowly but surely, if a real estate agent gets stuck, they'll call me. And the reason why they're calling me is because they don't want to lose that commission. So far, it has been, hey, my regular person can't do it. I've seen your emails. Let's have a conversation. Can you save this deal for me? So you get a chance to be literally the superhero at the end and save the deal. So your point of differentiation is now the conversation was never about price. The conversation now becomes, I have this solution over here that your other guy didn't have. Let's figure out how to save this deal for everyone. So then that's how you get your foot in the door.
So do you think having you, and I'm going to say unique, but you know what I mean by that? Not like nobody's got magic money, right? Nobody, right? But do you think that let's call it out of the box or maybe unique lending programs are like factor into attracting the real estate agent referrals?
I would say that has been the best way for me to get my foot in the door.
Yeah.
And then that is the who are you and why should I care about you speech in 20 seconds. And then once you get through that, it's like, oh, you also have this, and this. You also have regular programs. So that, yeah, the in is the unique lending programs. And then the conversation obviously just would blossom from there.
Yeah, I like that. Have you tried anything other than email? Like, have you? I love the approach. I'm wondering, like, do you take this same approach and maybe do you have any experience like with I don't know, using the same message like either on social media or frankly on phone calls to them, or do you find that the email version works great enough for you and it hasn't no other platform seems to be necessary at this time?
So there is another platform I've used. I haven't picked up a phone and cold called a real estate agent in 2 years. So the two primary sources is the direct email that I've talked about. But if you don't want to set up a constant contact or an email program for yourself, where I actually started it was through LinkedIn. So I stay off of Facebook, I stay off of Instagram, and sending out those marketing messages that way. So LinkedIn was actually built and born for folks to look for jobs. Well, guess what? I'm a mortgage loan originator, and every new loan is a new job for me.
Yeah,
So that it is in my mind, it is the appropriate place to reach out and send a LinkedIn message to a real estate agent, and then they can get back to you in their own time. So it's the same message. You're sending them a request. You're sending them a request to LinkedIn to link and a quick case study to go along, and you can put a link in there that would maybe go back to a blog that you talked about it further on your webpage.
yeah,
So it's got to be short, it's got to be succinct, but you got to have a reason for reaching out. You got
yeah,
if you're just saying, "Hey, my name's Eric, I live in Portland, I want to talk to you." There's literally hundreds of mortgage loan originators doing that to real estate agents. What makes you stand out? Why are you different? So it's a speech that I learned way back in college. One of my very first sales professors says, "You have 20 seconds. It's not even an elevator speech because you're not in an elevator with anybody. You've got to say, who are you and why should they care about you? And if that message of why they should care about you isn't higher in their care meter, you need to figure out a different unique selling proposition or go find a different prospect, right? Because that prospect may not fit your unique selling proposition."
yeah. I like that. Uh, Now, once like how can a loan officer, I don't know if ensure, but can expect consistency in getting referrals once they've established that referral partner relationship? How can they help ensure that they continuously get referrals from that relationship? Do you have like a sequence you do there? Is there a certain amount of times that I connect up with them, or the same thing that I did to attract them in the first place? Anything different?
So the reason why that real estate agent is sending that client your way to begin with, in my mind, isn't because you've gone out and bought him coffee, isn't because you've gone out and taken him to social events. They've developed a sort of business trust with you. So one of the first real estate agents I've ever developed a relationship with said, "Eric," and he meant this as a maybe perhaps a backhanded compliment, but he's like, "Eric, thank you so much for not calling me once every other week and inviting me out to coffee. Thank you, Eric, for not getting me a $25 Starbucks gift card." It's like, I know when I have a problem and I'm stuck, you're the solution. So the how often you should reach out to your referral partners, in my mind, unless obviously you develop that personal relationship with them. I developed the relationship from a business sense first, and I actually tell them, after a first couple referral deals, it's like I always say thank you, right, and always give them the thank you card and have that conversation. But I'm self aware enough to say, "Hey, I know we have a business relationship. It's okay. Like, I think you're an awesome person, but I think it's like, I'm not going to invite you to the Taylor Swift concert. I'm not going to invite you out to the ball game." Um, that was odd that I used Taylor Swift as the example.
Dude, I love Taylor Swift. Just as an FYI, we might edit this part out, but I'm a huge Swift fan. So, dude, if you ever want my business, offer to take me to Taylor Swift, and we're in.
So with real estate agents, it's sending them personal business related messages
yeah,
and a less frequent phone call, because once you cement in their mind that you are an expert in the solution that you're providing, you're going
yeah,
to have them forever. I mean, don't go dark on them, obviously,
yeah,
but I I guess the point I'm trying to get to is that I think a lot of mortgage loan originators try to overhug, try to over deliver a friendly message in hopes of getting that referral back. But in my mind, that can tend to be an annoyance as opposed to you being a top of mind solution. You can be top of mind without being in front of their face every single week.
Yeah. Cool. Hey, I see we're coming up on the top of the hour here. What would you say is a single most important piece of advice that you would offer a mortgage loan officer looking to thrive in our current market that we find ourselves in? Give me one single piece of advice.
Wake up every day and force yourself to have courage. When your funnel is slow or non-existent, courage is what's going to fill the funnel. So if your current referral partners aren't referring you anything, you need to go get more referral partners. The way that you get more referral partners is forcing yourself to have courage, forcing yourself to feel uncomfortable. So going back to the article, make cold calling not so cold. Not a single salesperson, whether you're selling cement blocks, whether you're doing mortgages, whether you're selling cereal to grocery stores, whether you're selling tickets, no one wakes up in the morning and says, I can't wait to call strangers that I don't know so that they can tell me no, right? That is no one's favorite thing to do. And any salesperson that tells you, yeah, I'm all about that, well, you might be all about that, but it doesn't give you a good feeling at the end of the day. But you do have to have courage to make contact in whatever way is comfortable for you to go make new friends, go make new referral partners. If you don't have the courage, you're not going to grow your business. You're not going to survive the downtimes.
Yeah. Good stuff. So Eric Simantel, thanks so much for letting us interview you here today. I really appreciate it. Great article. Go look at Put Cold Call on Ice in the September edition of the residential part of the Scotsman Guide. And Eric, anything I should ask you today that I didn't? Did we cover it okay?
Yeah, everything was great, Carl. I just like we started off the beginning conversation. I encourage anybody to have the courage to reach out to the Scotsman's Guide and put together an article themselves. It will help your business.
All right, sounds good. Hey, Eric, if anybody wants to reach out to you, is there a good way to do that?
Super simple. So let's keep it the way that I described, right? So you can reach out to new friends by reaching out on LinkedIn. So look me up on LinkedIn. I'll happily connect. Or you can just simply email me. My email address is eric@rydermortgagegroup.com.
Very good. And then that Ryder Mortgage is RYDER mortgagegroup.com.
Yep, I'll bring the logo up into view. Yep.
There we go.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Eric. We appreciate it. Hey, listeners, thanks so much for listening to this. If you think somebody would benefit, or not if, when you think somebody would benefit from listening to this interview, please forward this to your favorite loan officer friends. And as always, we really appreciate those reviews. That helps get the message out to more people, and we appreciate when you do that. So on behalf of the Scotsman's Guide, my name is Carl White. Thanks for being a part of this, and we'll talk to you on the next episode of Author Showcase. Thanks again, everybody. Bye-bye.